What's good everyone, this is Alex from DopeBoyzMuzic, back with another sample breakdown. Today we are going to talk about a sample called Yacht from Vol.3. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on in this one, so let's get straight to it. What started this sample was the piano riff that sounds a little something like this. So the first chord we have here is a F minor 7. And the second chord we have is a G flat major 7. So if we play the chords and the riff together, we pretty much have the sample already. The chords going from F minor 7 to G flat major 7 means this piece is in F Phrygian, which is a mode that's rather common, but it's not like a regular minor scale. If you're unfamiliar with Gregorian modes, you should definitely check them out. They will enhance your ability to write new music like by a mile, so that you don't have to stick to regular major and minor scales all the time. So the sample starts off with this organ sound. And this is the Arturia Farfisa version 5, and the patch is actually called brass section. And we also have some editing on this, so we have trash, we have some EQing going on, elastic pitch, which I like to use actually on those types of sounds to make them sound a little more special. We also covered that in the last video already. And the last thing we have is a camel crusher for volume automation later on. And after 4 bars, the verse, so to say, of this sample starts. We have the riff, the chords, F minor 7, D flat major 7. So what's going on here? First of all, we have the percussions and drums. So this is mostly just hi-hats, and this is some percussion. This sets the groove for the entire sample. Then we have the organ from the intro. And we have some piano that plays the riff that we just talked about. And we have some Rhodes that play the chords of the sample. There is a flanger on the Rhodes sound, which is the meta flanger. Usually I go by presets when I use this, but in this case I think I just took the initial preset and changed the rate, which means it changes the speed of the flanger. We also have a bass line. I did some stuff to the bass sound. So the bass was actually a bit distorted. On that little note there. And I tried to EQ the bass in a way where you wouldn't notice the distortion anymore. So I cut off the high end up until like 3400. I have some compression on the bass, multiband compressor. As you can see, when the louder parts come in, the multiband compressor kicks in. We have a compressor. And now where the upper frequencies are more under control, I boosted them a little bit. You can see here. So this is basically just a bunch of compression and EQing going on. Let's just listen to the before and after. It's just a little bit more punchy, I guess. And that's basically the foundation of the sample. We have the drums, the bass, the organ chords, the Rhodes, and the piano riff. And we have a lot of guitar and other things that play around this core of the sample. So now there's a guitar that enters. There's also brass and flute. I used the plate reverb on the brass sound. UAD Pure Plate is a very, very cool plate reverb. You also have little plate from Sound Toys. If you use Reverb or any other like Waves reverb or any other reverb, basically, you can look for plate reverbs. Most of the time they have them in their preset banks or in their modes that you can choose for reverb type. And then we have the chorus. So what makes the chorus is, first of all, we have this clavi sound. Nice wah-wah. This is a keyscape patch, clavinet, planet, duo, cry, wah. And then we have the choir, basically. So this is a mixture of a guy called Chris Comiso, who's a very talented songwriter, composer, producer, and me. This is basically around 8 to 10 voices. And I recorded mine as a demo, and when I got the ones from Chris, I kind of wanted to leave mine in there to make it sound a little more full. And on my vocals, I have some EQing going on. So low cut, boosted the highs. With these types of choir, R&B choir type of vocals, I really like to boost the high end on them because the breathing frequencies make them sound a little more airy, a little more nice. We have some compression going on. I talked about RVox in the last video already. You can just drag down this fader right here and it does its magic. I really, really like it. I also used Isotope Nectar. I just went with a preset called Soul and R&B Smooth 80s. And then we have a low cut up until 53 Hertz. Some reverb as an insert. We also talked about Valhalla Vintage Verb already. It's very dope. It's very easy to use as well. We have multiband compression on the mids. And lastly, we have this sunset reverb. And what I really like about this is you have a dry and wet fader. So it's kind of like using it as a send effect, even though you use it as an insert. Another thing that I like to do is I like to layer choir vocals like this with an organ. So we also have this organ here. Which basically plays the exact same line, but combined with the vocals, it creates a very, very nice texture. Then we have a secondary voice in the second half. And that's the chorus pretty much. Now we have a bridge where the chords change. Okay, so here we change the scale from F Phrygian to B flat Phrygian. The chords are B flat minor 9 to C flat major 9. It's the same progression pretty much, but it's a fourth higher. So first we had this. Now we have this. Sounds kind of cool when the transition comes in. So everything keeps its rhythmical motif. The bass plays the same rhythm, the piano does the same thing, but they just adapt to the chord change. Everything still does the same thing, it's just different chords. But what makes this part interesting is the flutes and brass sounds. So we have flutes playing in parallel fourths, which also gives it kind of an exotic vibe, which I went for because of the name Yacht Club. I thought when you have a yacht, you drive around the ocean and maybe you go somewhere else, maybe you cruise to a different country or something with different culture. And that's why I tried to add this exotic flute type of motif there. The last two chords we have in this part to transition back to the main motif are to F7. And then before we go to this, again, there's a little fill where everything plays a G flat, dominant 7, flat 9. This chord transitions to F minor 7 very well. Now while we're back at the main part, we have the brass section layer the piano motif on this part, and also the hi-hats drop for this part. So this sounds a little bit more open with the brass sounds layering everything. We have the choir again, but this time it's just Chris singing. really, really love this bass transition. Now the piano plays the chords, we have the tremolo guitar, the bass, everything plays a little bit more stretched out. Flute fills. And that's pretty much it. So I hope you enjoyed this little sample breakdown. Make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.